Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Dave Cabellis. I'm the product manager for Verrazzano. In this video, I just want to give you a brief update, sort of a whirlwind tour of the new features in Verrazzano 1.5. This isn't going to be, a deep dive in any stretch. It's really meant to just whet your appetite a little bit. Quick review of Verrazzano. What is it? It is an enterprise container platform. It's designed to enable you to manage your containerized workloads, and those containers can be for traditional applications. It can be for Java microservices, non-Java microservices. We don't really care. It just needs to be a containerized workload. And then Verrazzano is designed to really run across Kubernetes clusters, and those clusters can be really wherever you want them to be, whether it's on premises in your own private cloud, can be an Oracle cloud, can be in other public clouds. Verrazzano does include cluster management as well, so it's really a end-to-end complete secure container platform. But let's dive into the 1.5 pieces here. And so, big news is we've now bundled Argo CD as part of Verrazzano, and in fact, it's completely integrated into into the installation and upgrade processes, the single sign-on, and so forth. In fact, even when you add clusters to the Verrazzano environment, those clusters automatically get registered with Argo CD. So Argo CD can recognize them and deploy applications to them. Argo CD is a GitOps enabler, right? And by hooking up your application deployment to your Git repository, you're really extending the automation that's built into Verrazzano. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that, but that's a key thing here is that, so we've built a lot of automation into Verrazzano. The idea is let's flatten the learning curve. Let's make it easy for you to adopt, cloud native technologies. And now with a GitOps enabler like Argo CD, we've now enhanced that. We've extended that automation. A few other things here too. We continue to improve the Verrazzano user interface. We've made multi-cluster registration quite a bit simpler. It's a very simple process now. We've added some new dashboards in Grafana, and then we've reorganized those dashboards. We've made OpenSearch a little bit easier with some predefined index patterns. We've smoothed out some rough edges around the OCNE, Oracle Cloud Native Environment, plus Verrazzano installation and adoption processes. And then we have a number of updates to components. I'm not going to talk about those really. It's a pretty standard process for updating cloud native technologies that you just keep taking the latest to add features and address vulnerabilities. So in the demo, and again, this is what I want to focus on mostly today, is I'm gonna go through those things we just talked about: Rancher UI, cluster registration, Argo CD, and so forth. But before I dive over there, I want to, because especially Argo CD, like I said, augments the automation that's already built into Verrazzano. So I want to make sure you understood what that is, right? And so in Verrazzano, when you install Verrazzano, we set up an observability stack, we set up an Istio service mesh, we set up FluentD. We really make this, so it's a very simple thing to get up and running. And then when you go to deploy applications, this is all built as Kubernetes custom resources. It's very Kubernetes native. So you apply configuration files to Kubernetes to deploy applications. And in this case, you deploy your application component and then the application configuration. So basically saying, like, here's my microservice, and then here's how I want you to deploy it in this environment. And then when you do that, 2 kubectl commands, Verrazzano starts to do its automation magic, right? So it gets a token, creates a service account using that token, creates an authorization policy for the service account, creates a Kubernetes deployment, creates a Kubernetes service, creates an Istio gateway, creates a virtual service, an Istio virtual service. It gets a certificate, puts that certificate into a secret, creates a network policy using that certificate. It updates the Prometheus configuration using service monitors, and then once that happens, Prometheus starts to scrape your application for metrics. I mentioned we have FluentD deployed here. We actually deploy it as a daemon set. And so FluentD will then start to capture your logs and traces and push them to OpenSearch. So Again, a lot of automation built in. You don't need to know a whole lot about service meshes or even that much about Kubernetes. Verrazzano makes it really easy to adopt. But now, so let's jump over to Verrazzano itself. So here's the Verrazzano UI. Let's log in. Okay. So you can see this is the home page. It shows me I just have one cluster in this environment. It gives me links to the different pieces of Verrazzano, right? To other user interfaces that I can access. And then within Verrazzano, we've got, you know, cluster management. We've got application deployment. So let's go take a look at the Verrazzano application pieces here. So if I go and take a look at my applications, you'll see I've got a couple deployed already today. I've got, this is a WebLogic coherence and Helidon example. I've got a sock shop, which is an off-the-shelf public demo, and then we've got a Spring Boot Hello World application. These are all part of the Verrazzano examples, and you can see, this is here ready to go. Let's go back to the home page, and let's take a look at Argo CD. So again, single sign-on. Argo CD itself kind of has a very short period for letting you stay logged in, but again, I didn't have to actually log in. It has this. It knows where the auth token is. So here you can see I've got two applications already deployed using Argo CD, and it's pretty easy. So let me show you really quickly here. So here this is that Spring Boot application. Again, I've got my microservice component, my application configuration, and then this is all the different pieces that get rolled out when you deploy an application. So let's do that. Let's create a new one. So here's a new application. We're going to say we're going to use another application from the examples and the Verrazzano open source examples. I'm just going to put this in the default project. I'm going to use manual, just so manual synchronization. We could automate this, but it's very simple. It's just that simple. And then if we look at the repository, let me switch over to my text file. Here it is. So we're using GitHub Verrazzano, and actually I have it up here, right? So this is the open source. Let me come back to Argo. We're going to use the head revision, and then I'm going to do examples / hello. Hold on, right? So this is examples that are in that repo. There's nothing. Oh, I do need to do this, right? So we're going to say which cluster to go to, and so we're going to go to the default cluster, which is there's only one in my environment right now. I'm going to put this in the Helidon namespace, and then I'm just going to click create. And then here it is, right? Here's my application. So Argo CD connects to the repo, looks for resources, and it's kind of ready to do its work. But you see it's out of sync, so we haven't done anything yet. But let's take a look here, and you can see, so this is my application. This is the application configuration and the component. So these are the YAML files that I talked about. So if we synchronize this, you can see it, it knows those resources we're talking about, the application configuration and the component. And I just say synchronize, and then it's actually going to go, it's going to call kube control, apply those two files, and you see, sure enough, it does all those things. Service account, Istio gateway, an Ingress trait, which was part of the configuration file, results in a virtual service. The workload pieces result in a Kubernetes service and a Kubernetes deployment, which result in endpoint slices, and a replica set, and then the replica set results in a pod running. So again, I just hooked this up to my repo, and it's ready to go. So let's go back over to Verrazzano. If we take a look here, if we go to the Verrazzano application pieces, we should be able to see this application up and running. Go to applications. Here's Hello Helidon. We can dive in. Like, so this is the pods running, and it's actually a couple of different containers. It's the Hello Helidon container, the init container for the Istio proxy completed its work, and the Istio proxy container is running. So this is up and running. Now, if we go back and we say, let's take a look at Grafana. So if we go, let's take a look at the various dashboards here. So we've reorganized this. If you're familiar with this, we used to just have a general folder, and now we have various folders for different things: coherence monitoring, Helidon monitoring, Istio monitoring, JVM monitoring for things like Spring Boot and Micronaut applications, OpenSearch monitoring. This is a new area for us. So we have for every application that you deploy the way I showed you, we actually have an instance of this dashboard. So if we say hello Helidon, you can see we are capturing metrics already for this application. Gives me the the status of the pod here. No restarts. That's good. We just started it. Tells me a little bit about the disk storage it's using. We haven't hit this thing at all, so there are no HTTP requests. But really, this gives me a quick view of my application and what's happening. Let's go back to the list of dashboards again, because we do have this Verrazzano system monitoring. That's pretty interesting too. So we have a very simple view of the Verrazzano system, what's happening. The nodes in my cluster, my worker nodes, and then these are the different pieces of Verrazzano that are enabled or disabled. These are specifically, everything is running that I've enabled. So I basically said enable 25 different components. Of those, 25 are running. It's actually the other way around. This is enabled. This is what's running. And then some of these I just haven't enabled because I'm not using them. This is a pretty handy dashboard. I actually ran into a problem with disk space on some nodes, and I was trying to figure out why my pods were being evicted. I came to this, and it was like, oh yeah, disk pressure. There you go. So it was pretty handy. And then let's go back and take a look at another one of these. This resource usage summary. This is a pretty good one, right? So this is the next level down of detail. So it's basically like what are the pieces of Verrazzano and how much CPU are they using? So you can see there's a bunch of things that are running. Got the memory aspect of this as well, the different pods, some disk usage, HTTP requests. So you can see like there were some errors here a few minutes ago, but this is all sort of working as expected. And what's pretty nice here too is you can say, I don't really want everything. I just want to see like what is Argo CD doing. Okay, so I can come here and then, so I just select Argo CD and it tells me, so what's the Argo CD CPU usage? Same with disk and this. So these other, we always keep the pod lists up and running, but the disk usage, HTTP, these other charts, that's all, goes by what's listed. And then we can also say like, well, maybe I'm interested in Argo CD and FluentD, right? So now I've got two things selected. And maybe we care about something else too. How about Grafana? Let's look at Grafana. Right, we add Grafana. So now I have three things selected, right? So now you can see I've got Argo CD, I've got FluentD, I've got Grafana, and I've got the total for these things. So it's showing me, sort of all the different pieces here. So again, the idea is let's make all this stuff very usable. If we go back and take a look at the OpenSearch dashboards console here, also, we'll see out of the box, we create a couple of different index patterns. So there's a Verrazzano system index pattern. You can see we're capturing logs here. And if we go to the Verrazzano application, and if we search on hello, let's search on hello. And yeah, you can see we're capturing, the Hello Helidon logs already, right? Like, so this is, I deployed that application and already we're getting what we need there. So that's the demo. Let's switch back. I hope this was interesting for you. One last slide, which is how to keep in touch. So you can get more information at verrazzano.io. We've got an Oracle product page. Our source is available on GitHub. We have a new publication on Medium. Reach out to us on Twitter. We have a YouTube channel. And then this is an invitation to join our Slack. And we have people monitoring our Slack channel, all day, every day. So that's it for me. Thanks so much. Thanks for listening. Hope this was helpful. Talk to you again soon.